is due to an earlier crash. Cards fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your TV and streaming home of the Cardinals. Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals or watch through your TV provider. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for details. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, it's Friday here on KMOX. That means Redbird Rush Hour with Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you guys for an hour. We get a full hour today because of the 7:10 start time in Milwaukee, which means 6:15 for the pregame show with our buddy Matt Pauley. Fellas, welcome to Friday. How you guys doing?
Good. Good to be here.
Doing all right.
Ready? Yeah,
Matt. It's Friday.
Just for disclosure, Matt's still a little under the weather. He's getting there, but we're feeling for you, buddy. We're rooting for you. You'll get better here in a couple days.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We've all played hurt, man. It sucks. It's no fun, but we appreciate you. We're happy to have you.
I will not come out of the lineup.
No, you will not. Well, neither Bernie or I are going to take the role of telling you have to. Yeah. So we'll be the Ollies in this situation.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, you were. I was happy to fill in for you to do you a favor the other night, Matt. But I had to send Wheeler like an apology email the next day because I told him like I was like sort of half sick or something, and I told Wills, I said, dude, I'm really sorry. I was like a zombie on that show. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I just like sat there with this dazed look on my face. Anyway,
I think that was the sickness. I know I texted you back. I think that was more your view of it because it didn't feel that way on this end. So
well,
we're all good to go. We're all good to go.
Got to suck it up.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. So Cardinals and Brewers in Milwaukee. We've been talking a lot about this. You laid it out really well on DGS today, Bernie. I think it's fair to say that the outcome of the series is not our biggest concern. But look, I mean, the Brewers are the model now, right? I mean, this is the goal. This is what the Cardinals are trying to get back to being, if not exactly the same way, in a similar way, and a lot more like Milwaukee does things as opposed to how the Mets and the Yankees and the Dodgers do things, right?
Yeah, Bill DeWitt hired Chaim Bloom for a reason. He wanted payroll efficiency, better player development system so they could grow their own players. Also, he wants Chaim Bloom to tap into the international free agent market, the prospect market, I should say, and build a team that's also more athletic and more versatile in terms of how it can score runs and how it can do certain things. And of course, starting pitching is a big priority. But Milwaukee's got the formula down cold, and whatever their secret sauce is, they have figured out a way to find players at a tremendous value and find players at low cost who are better than what other teams are spending a lot of money for at the same position. And there's so much about the Brewers I admire. And I just want to point out again that, since 2007, 2018, the Cardinals have outspent the Brewers by $300 million in payroll. The last 3 seasons, the Cardinals, it'll end up having them outspending the Brewers by $100 million on payroll. So the Cardinals front office needs to change, but the way it changes is not what some people want, which is to throw more stupid money at the problem. You got to get a lot smarter.
I spend a lot of time thinking about the Brewers and what they do and how not just the Cardinals, but other teams can try to imitate it. And they do 2 things. They produce high-level talent out of their minor league system, especially when it comes to pitching, and that's something the Cardinals need to do. But then they go find guys, and they fix them at the major league level. We all remember the Dave Duncan reclamation projects. That was a very normal thing in St. Louis. And you actually look at the Brewers roster, and they do have homegrown talent.
Oh, yeah.
But they got a gaggle of guys that they picked up from other organizations because they saw something and said, give us that, we'll fix it. And the card that's as impactful as developing your own guys. When you can start to view, inefficiencies in what other organizations are doing with players and go grab those players and fix it, that's so impactful and so powerful.
Yeah. And what you're doing is looking for traits, right? Looking for characteristics. all right, this guy's got a fastball that really plays. We got to get him doing one more thing, and we know what that thing is. Or you got a hitter that's maybe not approaching things the right way, and you make a tweak. But the thing is, guys, it's a combination of having the right people making those decisions, because we could make those decisions and be wrong. But it's the right guys making the evaluation of what somebody's lacking, but also how does it fit what we do? Do they fit at least in some way? Like you look at the offense, Bern, you outlined this earlier. Everybody there fits the Brewers' style of play.
No doubt. And it's really interesting because the Cardinals, since the All-Star break, and it actually started before that, but since the All-Star break, the Cardinals' offense is hideous. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I'm not being mean. It's just a fact. They basically rank 15th in the National League in everything that matters. And when they aren't 15th, they're like 14th.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals can't hit for power. They can't use their speed because they don't have much. They're not a stolen base team. They're not a great base running team. They don't play small ball. You look at the Brewers, they're like they're in the top 10 in home runs and slugging, but not in any kind of profound way. And I'm talking about in the National League. They don't rely on home runs. They don't rely on slugging. But when they're not getting any power, they have many other ways to score runs. Like their offense is so balanced, and it starts with a great plate approach. They swing at fewer pitches than any team in the National League. But when they do, they make better contact, and they chase fewer pitches than any team in the National League. Pitches out of the strike zone. They lead the National League in stolen bases. Fangraphs and Statcast rates them in basically the top base running team in the majors, let alone the National League. They have an abundance of pitching depth. They never run out of pitching. And their defense, the Cardinals have an excellent defense, but the Brewers' defense is very close to it in terms of the rankings. So I love the fact that they're so flexible. They can beat you in any number of ways. They're not overly reliant on home runs. They have other ways to generate offense. See, that's the kind of team I'd like to see here. And Cardinals fans, ever since I moved here, they love that style of baseball. And this is the kind of team that Chaim Bloom wants to build. So let's, I feel very positive about his vision of what this is going to be. And I think other people should, make sure to at least give him a chance, because you can't fix this in one off season.
No.
Since August 1st, though, the Brewers are 7th in Major League Baseball in home runs. So we have seen that power tick up a little bit for them here over the last month and a half.
Yeah, it goes up and down. But that's what I mean. When it's not coming, they can beat you in other ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's exactly that's the hard part here is, so the Cardinals have versatility in a way that they can move guys around the diamond, but they don't have the versatility of how they're going to attack you with the bat in their hand. Right.
That's right.
And, Matt and I, mostly me, Matt was just kind of trying to calm me down. But, then you got the Cardinals, bunting in the fourth inning with runners on first and second and nobody out, and actually damaging their chances at the beginning. And so you're not playing to what over time will work.
And they're not very good at bunting either.
Well, no, that's.
And that's we were talking about this earlier, and, the plate discipline has really, gone down the drain the last couple of months. Starting in August, the Cardinals have the third worst strikeout percentage in the majors, and they also have the third lowest walk rate in the majors. Now, boy, that's a winning combination, isn't it? I mean, I'm sorry to be sarcastic, but this thing is just going off the rails. Their offense is just awful. And this doesn't mean that, for example, they can't go into Milwaukee and one of these games scored like 9 runs. Yeah, that's baseball. It's going to happen. But, man, all the trend lines are depressing.
I wish I could add and say, no, you're wrong, Bern, but there's nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing to add to that. That's on the money.
The thing that always worries me most is when you play against a good team that's been in a little bit of a rut. The Brewers just got swept by the Rangers. Maybe that down streak continues, but to me, that means the Brewers are going to be that much more locked in for the weekend.
Yeah.
And their magic number for making the playoffs is 2, I believe. And, they'd like to do that with the Cardinals in town just to reaffirm, hey, we're your daddies, guys. We're your daddies. We've owned you since 2007.
They clinched with St. Louis in town 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's really funny, but I look forward to seeing what Chaim Bloom comes up with. But I know you want a model for how the Cardinals have to operate.
Yeah.
It ain't the Mets, it ain't the Dodgers, it ain't the Phillies, it ain't a number of teams. It's the Milwaukee Brewers, except when the time is right, the Cardinals will have more financial resources than the Milwaukee Brewers.
Exactly.
This is not a complicated thing.
No.
You know?
It's gonna take some time.
But going on Twitter to like talk about they got to sign Pete Alonso this offseason. Oh my gosh. Let's hook ourselves back up to reality. Okay. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. All right. We have to have a talk about Andre Palante coming up next. He's starting tonight. You get where I'm going. We got to have this talk because he's almost 27. This is a full year as a starter. I know last year was a half year as a starter. And I'm not saying you got to run him out of town or anything, but we got to have a talk about this, and we'll do that next up on the Redbird Rush Hour.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your
Northbound 55, that's a bigger jam, solid north of 61 up to 67. That's due to road work. Westbound Highway 64, Science Center out through McCausland, still heavy. There's a little backup at the Boone Bridge, and then stop-and-go stuff from 364 out to 70. Westbound Highway 70, there's a little slowdown approaching Zumbel from Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through 61 Z area. It's still pretty heavy. Both directions at 270 around Ladue, busy. South 170, a bog down at Brentwood. Eastbound 64, heavy through the inner belt. They just reopened Highway 47 south of Washington. There's still a little northbound backup near Mid-America Coaches. That's where we had an earlier serious crash. And they're reporting an overturned vehicle crash eastbound 44 near the Pacific exit. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door for same-day service at 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. I'm Roger Brand at the michaelsflooringoutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, it's Friday on the Redbird Rush Hour. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Obviously talking about Andre Palante here in a second, but Matt sent me a text that I want to read, and I'll be curious to get your reaction to this, Bernie, because you're the one of the three of us that hasn't seen this yet. And I'm just going to read it, and I'll give a quick reaction, but we got a text from the 314 says, so it's not okay for Donovan to stay in the lineup, but it's okay for you guys to. Horrible takes. I got news for you, brother. I'm not hurting a team. We ain't losing any games if I have a sore throat or I'm not feeling great. It's not the same thing. Don't compare apples to automobiles, you dope.
And I took Tuesday off when I really didn't have
There
a
you
voice.
go. See? We would have lost on Tuesday if you had played.
Yeah. Whoever sent this in is just more evidence of the failure of the education system because obviously if this person was making a cogent point, the point is not to point out that Matt Pauley had lost his voice and blah, or whatever the point he was trying to make, because it's truly insane. No, Matt Pauley knew he wouldn't be able to help the KMOX team, so he sat that game out.
Took a day off, yeah. And now that he's a little bit better, he's here.
Because it's kind of this thing. Let me try to explain to you. When you're on radio, you have to have a voice that works.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, then you're going to basically sit there and do what? Give hand signals. Wow,
that's great. That's great. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe the dude's just trolling or having a bad day.
Yeah,
but either way, have a bad day by yourself.
You know what I like about trolling is fun as long as we're allowed to troll back.
Yeah.
But what happens with a lot of the trolls? They get so sensitive when somebody has fun with them and trolls back. Oh no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got to love the modern world.
Yeah.
Man.
Feel free to not use your brain. God gave you a brain, man. Use that thing. All right, let's talk Andre Palante. Obviously making the start today. I'd say, to me, guys, clearly overall a massive disappointment for the season. We saw a second half last year that gave us some hope of a guy that could look like a solid, like number 4 starter. And maybe that's still there. He's about to turn 27. I'm not trying to write him off, but this year has been a big disappointment.
Listen, there's 52 innings qualified major league starters this year, 52. He is 49th. He's got a 5.28 ERA, and it's been much, much worse his last 12, 13 starts or whatever. My question is, how does he get hit? Look, I really like Andre Palante personally. He grinds. He works hard. Yeah, he wants to be good. I want to know something. Tell me how he gets people out. Like, in other words, the swing and miss rate's one of the worst in Major League Baseball. The strikeout rate is one of the worst in Major League Baseball. People would say, well, he gets ground balls. That's true, but the hard hit rate is up. So those ground balls are hit a lot harder than maybe they were being last year. I don't see that. I don't see that he has enough ways to neutralize hitters.
I'm comfortable with him. If you've got a rotation with some legit dudes at the top of the rotation, if he's your 5, that's fine, because some nights he's going to go out and give you something. I'm basing this more on what he did last year than this year. I mean, this year he's got a +5 ERA this year. He looked okay his last time out. When to Bernie's point, the hard hit rate, when they're hitting him, everything's finding holes. Yeah. It's getting through. Like I'm trying to squint. I like him so much. So much.
Yeah, I'm
trying to squint and find a way for him to have a spot in this rotation. I'm not, and I hear myself talk, and I don't know. It's he's hard. The one guy that I don't think you can guarantee him anything next year in terms of the starting pitchers that are returning. I would guarantee Quinn Matthews something in the big league starting rotation before I would guarantee Palante.
Here's my thing on this. So he's about to turn 27. His problem is he throws too many pitches down the middle. If you go look at the chart for his 4-seam fastball, they are all right down the middle. He cannot land the knuckle curve in the strike zone. Almost none of those pitches are a strike ever. When you look at his sinker, it's all arm side, which is where it should be, but it's all middle and up. Sinkers are supposed to be down. So when you have 3 pitches that you can't throw where you want to, and then go look at the zones by where he gives up contact, right? So on the batted balls by zone, he has given up the most contact in the middle of the zone. He's got 96 batted balls right down the middle, literally dead center. 55 just to the right of that, 52 just to the left of that, 67 just below that. Like the vast majority of his pitches are either middle, middle, or middle in, middle away. You can't pitch in the middle of the zone. So if he hasn't figured that out by now, what's going to make me believe he's going to fix that?
Listen, I don't have these numbers handy, but I did some research on this earlier this week, so I ask everybody to trust me. I looked at the numbers against Palante when they connect with the strike and put it in fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something like everybody who plays video baseball would run up slugging percentages and home runs and all this stuff. That like if you were a kid, you would like look at those numbers. All that I did great. Look at this. I mean, I'm with Matt Pauley, man. I want Palante to succeed.
Amen.
And I was pumping him up last year when he went in the rotation on May 29th, 20 starts. He was really solid. He did a really nice job. But for some reason, for reasons we've all discussed, like I think it just shows it's his pitching style. It's kind of, there's a thin line there, and the line between failure and success is really, really thin. As Kevin Wheeler just said, if this year, because more of your pitches are landing in the middle of the strike zone, last year maybe they didn't. Well, you're kind of doomed if that's the case.
Yeah, and again, he should be here. Don't get rid of him. But he's got to earn a job in the spring, is what we're saying. At least that's what I'm saying.
The Cardinals have to earn jobs.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's a concept, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
No
got
runway next year.
Well, for new guys.
There's a guy named Kevin Wheeler that I know who has made a couple of examples about the way the Detroit Tigers handled some of their underachieving.
Yeah, Spencer Torkelson,
phenoms.
Number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, you got to earn your job. No more free ride. You got to earn your job.
He was told this spring you have to make the team or you're going to be in Toledo. And guess what he did? He went in the offseason and he worked and he made the team and he's got 30 home runs. So, maybe forcing guys to work a little bit is going to be the path. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you on the Redbird Rush Hour. Got some more cards coming your way. Maybe a little football as well in the last half hour here on KMOX.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the tradition
is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Bernie Miklasz here on behalf of Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. And we have been a Saliga family here at the Miklasz home for 17 years. And we're part of a wonderful St. Louis tradition where the same family, the Saligas, have owned this proud business since 1927, 4 generations. My friend Dan Saliga, the latest to take this business and just maintains the highest of standards. And they've been helping St. Louis families out. It's coming up on 100 years. I mean, sometimes I laugh at myself because I say, you know, what else do I need to tell you? I mean, that's a competitive industry, and it's 100 years later, and you're still going strong and still making St. Louis families that call you for help, making them happy and helping them out. I think that's a track record you can count on. I really do. And we've learned the honesty, the professionalism, the knowledge, the classiness, the fact they never try to upsell us or talk us into something. They actually look for the least expensive way to take care of a problem. So the trust factor with us is 100%. Saliga Heating and Cooling also has a priority club. It's a maintenance plan. It's going to save you a lot of money by extending the life of your current equipment. Family owned and operated for nearly 100 years. You can get free estimates and financing options. And Saliga still has the best and most trustworthy customer service in St. Louis. To find out more, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit CantorInjuryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband. So we've kind of been joking around about it a little bit today. The fact that I'm a little bit under the weather, and with that, I'm not at the studio. I'm at my home studio. I never have to worry. I connect via internet. When I used to do shows from home before I had i3, I'd have to tell my wife, hey, you can't stream Netflix for the next couple hours because I need to make sure that I've got enough bandwidth to do that. I never have to worry about that anymore because I've got i3 Broadband. My audio, my video is fine. I got my daughter upstairs right now. She's listening to something on her Alexa. My wife's streaming something. There's all kinds of data being thrown around, and I'm spending a whole lot less money on it now than I did when I was with the cable company. They always mirror their upload and download speeds. That's also really, really important for getting the kind of internet service that you want to have where it's actually as fast as they say that it is. See if they're available in your area. No matter what your needs are, they can take care of you. They've got 1 gig, 2 gig, 8 gig packages. You can even go a little slower than that if you don't need that and you just want the reliability, because their service doesn't go down. Everything's built in under the ground. You're not going to get a small little shower and then all of a sudden you don't have internet for 2 days. Head to the website, i3broadband.com. That's i3broadband.com, and put your address in, see if they're available in your neighborhood, i3broadband.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We got some trouble on westbound 64 now. This traffic reports the service of Amon, Gantner, and Capriano. As you come out of the city, it's not that bad. You just have some slow traffic right around the city limits. But in the valley, we're jammed from Long Road out to the west end of the Boone Bridge. There's a 4-car crash westbound 64 at the west end of the Boone, blocking the left lane. They said they're going to need 3 tow trucks out of those 4 vehicles, so it may take a while to clear it. The jam's building in that area. And, of course, west of there, it's still bogged down. Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70, westbound 70. West of Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through Highway Z, there's still some pretty heavy traffic. Eastbound 64 is a little slow at the Interbelt. We still have the roadwork jam northbound 55, north of 61 up to 67. Eastbound Highway 44, some slow traffic between Gray Summit and Pacific. There's an overturned vehicle crash before the Pacific exit. And southbound 55, that earlier overturned crash, south of 143 still has a backup there as well. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Amon, Gantner, and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. My dad always said, no one gets out of this world alive. Hi, it's Margaret at Amon, Gantner, and Capriano. Do you have a will? Amon, Gantner, and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. The choice of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely on advertising.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour, Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here. We've got baseball at 7:10 tonight. Cardinals and Brewers up in Milwaukee. As we mentioned, Andre Palante making the start for the Cardinals. On the Milwaukee side, it's going to be Quinn Priester, who is one of those guys that they grabbed and fixed. They targeted a guy in spring training when they needed pitching. They got him, and they made him better than he was before. It should be an interesting matchup tonight. I wanted to get a couple of the messages, guys, that we got in here that are kind of along the lines of what we've been talking about. Chris threw us a question that said, how are they going to make over the roster without many trade pieces that would bring major league talent back? And I my short answer, you guys follow, is I'm not sure that getting major league talent back is going to be the goal.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, you can't make it over in one off season. And again, this is why I think everybody's got to sort of retrain their minds on this. This is a rebuilding, and fortunately, the fans and the Cardinals themselves haven't had to go through this in a long time. And it's going to be a little different. They're going to try to get as many assets as they possibly can, knowing that it's silly to sort of do risky things or to try to swing and hit a grand slam home run going into next season when the odds are highly against it. So they're going to amass as many attractive assets as they can. And if some of the people they pick up in a trade might be 2 or 3 years away, they're always going to go for the talent rather than like a quick fix thing. And I'm totally on board with that.
We could go back to the winter meetings when we thought that they were going to trade Nolan Arenado, and we were sitting here analyzing the roster and said, there's too many guys for too few spots. How is this going to work? Well, there's more guys now. So JC is a more part of it. JJ Weatherholt's got to be available at the beginning of the year. So the idea is not to go one for one. You trade off a guy and you bring in a major league piece, because that's not fixing a problem. Part of the problem is the roster doesn't add up. So not only should they go try to get some people who can develop into better players down the line, they have to, because it's more important to remove from the roster than to add to the roster. That doesn't mean, like Kevin, you and I talked about the outfield the other day. There's probably an opportunity in the outfield to add a piece. There's probably an opportunity in the starting
like a right-handed bat to complement.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is not an all-encompassing thing.
Right.
But generally speaking, if we're just going raw numbers, they need to remove more major league players than add major league players.
At least on the offensive side. If you could tell me, hey, there's a Quinn Priester kind of deal out there, somebody that maybe isn't really hitting but has a good profile or has some characteristics you like, that's fine, because they're going to need pitching. I mean, we can see that right now. Now, again, that doesn't mean that Quinn Matthews isn't a part of that picture. It doesn't mean that down the road later in the year, Liam Doyle won't be. But I wouldn't bet on Doyle being an option early. And while Matthews might be, we just said you cannot book a spot for Palante. Miklasz is gone. So you don't have that much certainty going in, and we don't know what they're going to do in the trade market on this, when it comes to Sonny Gray either. So yeah, you might trade offense for some pitching, and shoot for that kind of guy. And maybe it's not as high a profile guy as Priester was, but somebody along those lines where you're like, all right, we like something about this guy. We can make him better.
And the thing about if Chaim Bloom's doing a good job this winter, one of the things he'll do, I'll give you an example of exactly what he'll do, and Kevin Wheeler mentioned it. The Cardinals really need whatever, if nothing else, for sure. They for their offense, they really need a right-handed bat for the outfield.
Yeah,
they just really, really need that. Now, let's just say he gets a right-handed bat for the outfield. I'm willing to bet some money that when he makes the trade, the right-handed bat who can play the outfield, 75% of the people are going to, who? What do they want with him?
Right.
See, again, this goes back to the Milwaukee model, the Tampa Bay model, the Cleveland model. These guys find players who do not have big names. They're not on everyone's top 10 prospects list, but they have spotted something that everybody else overlooks. And so they say, oh, we got a chance to get him. We can do something with him. Let's go. The immediate reaction in any market, big market, would be, oh, that's all they're doing, or that's all they got.
Right.
Just so everyone's going to need to chill out. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it.
Great call.
I say that with respect. I really do.
My Twitter algorithm is filled with Brewer stuff, still going back to my years working there. The day that they acquired Quinn Priester, you would have thought that they just sent away a future Hall of Famer for a guy who was never going to get above AAA.
Like, what are they
based off
doing
the
with
social
this guy?
media reaction.
Yeah.
So it is, Bernie, when you say it happens in every market, it absolutely does happen in every market. It's funnier when there's the criticism in Milwaukee because I think that front office has probably earned the right to get a bit of a pass from those fans. They're not giving it to them, but that's the way it goes. Yeah.
It is a fascinating thing.
I'm smiling. Yeah, because you're so right.
Yeah. And there was a time when those criticisms were kind of silly with the Cardinals too. It's just that it was a long time ago now. It was a number of years since they've been that team.
And I think actually on his way out, John Mozeliak, and listen, man, I've been really hard on him, but I'm also not a lunatic from the standpoint that I try to be fair. And even some of the stuff that Mo has done the last couple of years, they weren't like huge moves. People were laughing when he traded DeYoung for Matt Swanson, like laughing, like, what a stupid trade. Like, here's a trade that nobody wins, and all that stuff.
Right.
Oh, what do the Cardinals need with this guy? I know I never even heard of him. Well, they traded for Mo traded for some Swedish guy. What's he been pitching in Sweden? John Mozeliak, for example, getting absolutely trashed by the best fans in baseball for that trade, which turned out to be a great trade.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe Chaim Bloom, who was asked for his advice a lot, even well, no, I take that back. I think Bloom had some say in maybe some of their direction at the trade deadline this year.
Right.
That infielder that they got from the Mets, by the way, in the Helsley trade, he needed a little time to settle in.
Yep.
Look what that kid, Jesus Baez, look at what he's done like his last 16 games.
Yeah.
Just look at, and he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's like destroying everybody now down there in the high A league. They've already won that trade.
Yeah, because on their end, the Mets end, they're not getting anything out of it.
Right.
They got a reliever blowing up.
And Baez was a top 100 prospect, according to Baseball America, when the season got started. He'd fallen out of the top 100, but that shows you the skill set that he has inside of him.
Absolutely. All right, real quick, quick timeout. Guys, you can think about this during the break. I'm curious. This is not a test. This is not anything forced. I'm just curious what you guys are looking forward to with college football schedule tomorrow. Is there a game that you're really going to be tuned into? We'll get to that next up here on KMOX.
Let me tell you about this new pretzel cheddar club. Hey, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Ebony. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A
lane. It's the left lane of the left split at the west end of the Boone Bridge, so it's a real mess there. Once you get past that point, it's still slow west of Lake St. Louis out through to 70. Westbound Highway 70 in the Westplex, it's still slow west of Lake St. Louis, and it goes in pockets all the way out through Forestell, like midway out to Wright City on westbound 70, so pretty busy there. Eastbound 44 looks like they took care of that crash at Pacific. That's good news. Still a little slow southbound 55 at 143 on the Illinois side, where he had an earlier overturned vehicle crash, and we're jammed still on northbound 55, roadwork backup. Jam north of 61 up to 67. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, it's Friday. We got a few minutes left here. I wanted to just dive into the brains of Bernie Miklasz and Matt Pauley, and obviously those two joining me, Kevin Wheeler. We got a lot to talk about here. Not a lot exciting for Illinois and Mizzou this weekend. Both of them have what should be walkover games. So which games you guys got your eyes on? Any games in particular stand out to you?
I got quite a few, and I'll be quick. First of all, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. It's a fascinating matchup. Mike Elko in year 2 at Texas A&M is going to have a better team than he did last year. And his team was pretty damn good last year, actually. And also, Marcel Reed's a wonderful quarterback. I don't think he gets enough run nationally. So it's going to be tough to go into Notre Dame and win because the Fighting Irish are coming off that tough loss to Miami, and they're coming off a bye week. So they'll be well prepared.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why I just love this matchup, because I think Notre Dame, look, if they lose to Texas A&M, I'm not saying that their season's over. But you know, you got 2 losses this early in the season. You are really running out of room there to have another mistake. So I love the drama there. I'm also interested in the drama of Florida going to LSU, and the fact that everyone's writing off Billy Napier. And Billy Napier is an interesting guy because he has got a great record in his career when he is a road underdog. And I think he'll have that team ready to play. And I'm not saying Florida's going to win outright, but if I were a gambling man, I'd take the 7.5 points, because I just think this is a back against the wall game.
Gotcha.
And I think his players are going to really respond to it. So those are a couple. I have others, but I don't want to take up all the time. Georgia, Tennessee is interesting too.
Absolutely.
We can circle back to that if you got a minute to talk about that. But if not, that's fine.
My K-State Wildcats coming off a loss to Army last week. They're going to play at Arizona tonight, so they got that. I think the 2 games that jump out at me. You mentioned the Georgia-Tennessee game. Georgia hasn't been overly impressive in their first 2 games. I think Tennessee was kind of dinged at the beginning of the season because people didn't know if the quarterback Aguilar if he was going to be very good. He's been very good. I think Tennessee at home actually wins that game, and that's going to be for them. And then, Kevin, I think your team, Miami, matched up against South Florida, a South Florida team that knocked off Florida last week and looked really impressive doing it. I think that's a really interesting matchup, too.
Oh, I agree. Look, that's on my list, of course. Duh. I'm wearing the Miami jersey today. I don't trust Mario Cristobal. I trust him as a recruiter. He gets a lot of great talent. They've got players, man, and they can pay quarterbacks. They're really good at that. But their game management drives me crazy. They constantly waste timeouts, make mistakes, do stupid things. And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the coaching staff too.
Oh, yeah.
That in games and in tight moments, they beat themselves, and they've got to get over that. I know it's a 17.5 point spread. If I'm a gambler, I'm not touching this game because Miami could win that game by 28 and they could lose the game outright.
By the way, I love Georgia giving 4 points to Tennessee, so Matt and I can disagree on that. You know why? Because I love all the Bulldog fans. They're all up in arms because the Dogs were so flat in the first 2 games.
Yep.
Well, here's the clue on that, Dogs fans. They're sitting on the playbook. They had no reason to unveil their offense. They played it conservative for a reason because they're going to Tennessee. Tennessee doesn't know what they're going to be doing. The other thing is that Tennessee's top 2 corners will not play in this game. So I think Georgia is going to come out and open it up. And Tennessee can win the game, but I'm kind of going counterintuitive on this, thinking that Georgia actually will take care of business.
Yeah. One that may not seem exciting, but I'm interested in is Vandy and South Carolina.
Yeah, that's a good one. Real good one.
Diego Pavia is really interesting on the Vandy side. They're only a 2.5 point underdog on the road. And South Carolina is who Mizzou plays next week. So that's another part of the reason why I'm interested, because they have a really talented quarterback at South Carolina too. So That's on
Good
my
call.
list. Yeah, that'll be on my
Good
list
call.
as
Real
kind of a
good
bit
call.
of a sleeper. I don't have a strong pick there. I would pick South Carolina if I was going to. But I think it's a fun game and something we can learn about for the Mizzou game coming up next week. Boys, have a great weekend. Bernie, enjoy the couple of days of football. Matt, you enjoy the baseball tonight and then football over the weekend and get better. So when we hear you next week, you're feeling right, man. We want you feeling better. There you go.
Very good.
Matt Pauley,
Thanks.
Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler with you here, getting ready to wrap up the Redbird Rush Hour. Cardinals baseball's coming up. Pregame 6:15, first pitch 7:10 tonight.
For your